So, welcome to today's video. Today I want to show you one of my Rubens sets, and this is a small set with 24 different colors. Um, we only get the names here. It's a very old set, so that is something they definitely changed over time. They will provide you now with pigment and lightfast information, which I don't have with this set. I looked up the colors on the blog of Kimberly Crick because she did some lightfast testing. And at the time I've bought the set, like I said, there were no information provided from the company. Rubens is a Chinese brand, and they produce various different art materials, like, of course, as you can see here, watercolors. And the reason I've bought the set was because of this very, very beautiful tin with the pearls and shells and stuff like that. All sets of Rubens always have a little swatch card, which I really, really like when companies offer already a swatch card. We only have the names, like I said, on this. As you can see, this white plastic part is rather very thin. So the amount of color in these pans is not a lot of color in it. So that to be aware of. Um, from today's point of view and my experience today, I wouldn't buy this set anymore. Not because of the paints aren't good, because the paints are good. I like Paul Room's colors. That's why I have a lot of them. But the set is rather strongly overpriced when you compare it with other Paul Rubens sets. Uh, you can get other sets containing a lot more color for a very much lower price than this set. So yeah, I would say something for collectors or lovers of beautiful boxes, like I am. Like I said, even I wouldn't buy it again, but yeah. Um, the first color here is permanent lemon yellow. It's a PY3, and with PY3, I just want you to be aware of there are light fast and non-light fast versions of this pigments, and I don't have a clue which one this is, so just to be aware of. I have some of the colors marked as non-light fast because I've read it on or saw it on Kimberly Crick's blog that she bought a other set which came out at the same time than this one, and she had some of the colors in her set as well, and she is doing a 1-year light fast test, so I was sure that these colors here aren't light fast. I will tell you which one of those. But I also know that a lot of colors have changed their formula over time, so it could be completely different in a newer set. So the second yellow here is a non-light fast pigment, or a color, better said. It's not a one single pigment, it's a mixture. It's a PY83 and a PY110. It's a transparent medium yellow. And I think the PY83 is the part which isn't light fast, because the third I'm swatching just now is called Indian yellow. It's a PY83, and Kimberly Crick also marked it as non-light fast. So yeah, that is something to be aware of, is if light fastness is something that is important to you. In this set there are a handful of non-light fast pigments in it, so yeah, that is important to know, I think. Some of the colors contain glitter, and I think that it is a production mistake. I know Paul Rubens had special sets with normal pigments like that, normal pigment watercolor, non-metallic or glitter watercolor, just normal pigments, and added some glitters to it as well. And I have, I think, 4 colors in the set which glitters and the others don't. So I think that is a production mistake. It may be different on other of these shell sets. Also, the shell sets are available in this blue, but also in a pink and colorful combination. So there's a second version which is mostly pink, but also contains a lot of other colors. Um, if you're not a fan of blue and you want to have one of those shell sets because you say you think the box is too beautiful to not buy it, then there are those as well. As the set is already a few years old, I'm not so sure how good you are still able to get it, to be honest. I've got mine over AliExpress at the time. Um, yeah, but like I said, it is way overpriced for the amount of paint, and you get a lot cheaper sets from Paul Rubens with a lot of more color to it. So the orange was permanent orange red. It's a PO73. That should be a pyrrole orange. And Kimberly Crick marked it also as non-light fast. And I know I have this color from Daniel Smith, which is marked as light fast. So I'm not sure if Daniel Smith marked, if this is one of those pigments everyone marks as light fast and isn't, or if it's just a version here from Paul Rubens which isn't light fast. If you know something about that, please let me know. I always am happy to learn more about pigments. But it is a color I personally don't like so much. That's why I don't have it from other brands, so I can't compare it really. The next color is called Chinese red. It's a PR 254. That's a pretty standard red. You find it in a lot of brands, and it's a very beautiful firefighter red, I would say, or that is what we call it in German. I don't know if it is a thing in English as well, but yeah, it's a very beautiful red. And the last one I just swatched now is called Meadow Red. It's a PR 177, and this is a non-light fast pigment. I know this is a very beautiful, cool red pigment, and you will find it in a lot of brands, and it is always branded as perfect in light fastness. Daniel Smith even makes their permanent alizarin crimson out of this pigment, and it is also the red which is in Moonglow, and it is a non-light fast pigment. I don't know why it is branded as perfect in light fastness in all brands, but it is a red which will completely fade over time. So that is something to be aware of. It's a very important information. Doesn't matter which brand, you will always get the same info that it is perfect in light fastness. It isn't. That is something I think is really, really important to know. And I have absolutely no clue why Daniel Smith uses this pigment as a substitute for a non-light fast pigment when this pigment is just as non-light fast as the pigment it substitutes for. So yeah, if you have any information, please, as always, let me know. I want to learn about this. So this one here is called Rose Red. It's a PV19, so that's your perfect primary magenta color in here. It's a quinacridone rose, and either this one or a PR 2020 quinacridone pink. One of those pigment is your perfect primary red. And I know a lot of people say you must have at least all the primary yellow, cyan, and a magenta. And for me personally, I like to have all of these in my watercolor sets because I use them a lot. But I also have the opinion, don't let yourself being told what you must buy or not must buy, because everyone works differently. And I know people, for example, who are working completely without any kind of green and never uses any green because they don't like green. So it is not a must. Of course, it gives you the perfect way for mixing nearly everything if you have the three primaries. But yeah, I don't think it is a must. It is something I can personally recommend from my kind of working with watercolors, from what I am like to draw and color and how I do it. But you can work completely different than me, draw completely different things than me. So just don't let you tell you have to or you haven't to. Buy the colors you like, buy the colors you use. And yeah, that is something I think is important to say. The second one here was called Violet. It's also a PV19, and you see these two colors are completely different. And PV19 is one of those pigments who are very versatile. You can get those rosy magenta tones. You can get very vibrant pinkish magenta with a lot of punch in it, and you can also get those kind of violets, which I think are very beautiful. The purple here is called Permanent Violet. It's a dioxazine violet. It's a PV23. This is also a color of, in my set which is sparkling, so it contains glitter like the PY3, the lemon yellow. And with PV23, it's also like with the PY3, there are different versions of this pigment. Some are very light fast, some aren't, and you never know which one you get. I've read that this is due to is a reddish and a bluish version of the pigment, but you never get the information which one you get. So I've read on handprint that the most lightfast PV23 in all watercolor brands is the one from Daniel Smith. So I personally love dioxazine violet and I like to use it a lot, but you have to be aware of that some brands versions aren't as lightfast as others. And I can't say for sure which one the Paul Rubens one is. The next color is one I absolutely love. It's a PB28 Cobalt Blue, super light fast pigment. If you are interested in cobalts, then I can recommend watching my pigment and color family series about the cobalt color family. There you get a lot of information and comparison between different brands. And yeah, really, cobalts are one of my favorite pigment families. Love this color. It's a very expensive pigment, so that is something nice to have always in a pre-made set. The next one is a PB29. It's an ultramarine blue, and here we have one of those typical Paul Rubens translation mistakes. I know they are a lot made in older sets. I'm not quite sure if that has changed over time with newer sets, but they call it France ultramarine instead of French ultramarine. It's not a big mistake. You can still know what they mean, but yeah, to be aware of. And also if you buy one of those older sets or shop one secondhand, for example, then I know that sometimes there are a few mistakes made also with the pigments. Not in this set, as far as one color, I'm not sure, but yeah, that is something to know. That is definitely something they do a lot better now in the newer sets. So the last blue on the second row is called Sea Blue. It's a PB15 column 3, so it's a phthalo blue green shade, but to be honest, it looks more like a phthalo turquoise to me. That's a very unusual version. So that could be one of those. I'm not quite sure if it's really a column 3 or it's a different shade. But it is super, super pigmented. I have one area in the dried swatch which is nearly black, so it's super, super dark, and it is a light fast version. I still think you can use it perfectly for mixing as a substitute for a cyan. And as it gets really, really dark, this version here, you also have a very light, fast, dark blue as well, which is rather great because the next one, so the first one in the third row is a Prussian blue, and this is a pigment always like the PR 177 in every brand is stamped as perfect in light fastness, and it isn't. It is a non-light fast pigment. It is a PB27, and it is because of the iron particles it contains, because they somehow react with light in any kind of oxidation or so. I don't know for sure. If you have more information about that, please let me know. I always am happy to learn more about it, but I know that those it is because of those iron particles. The color fades over time. The Prussian blue has this specialty against all other non-light fast pigment, that if you put it back in a dark closet or a drawer, it can recover some of the color, but not all. So it will never get it to its full strength again. That is something to be aware of. That is definitely a beautiful color, but not a color I would recommend using in works you are selling, gifting, or want to hang on your wall. So the next one is called Payne's Gray, and for me it looks a little bit more like an indigo. It's a PB29 ultramarine blue, PB15 phthalo blue, and a PBK9 ivory black mixture. And I will link a speed paint I used mainly this set in the description box below. That's to my picture called The Death and I. And I've used this one for the cloak, and it was a lot too much bluish for my taste. I wanted more on the gray blackish side, so I had to work over it again with another color. And this is definitely a color I have in a newer set as well, but it looks completely different. So the formula they have changed. It is not that it looks like an indigo, but it looks like what I know from other brands as an Payne's Gray in the newer versions. That is something just to be aware of, as well as the PBK9, the ivory black they've used here. That is a pigment made from burnt animal bones. So if you are vegan or vegetarian and don't want to use colors like that, this is not a set for you because of this one color. Sadly, the set can't be vegan. So the first green here is a mixture. It's called yellow green. It's a PG36. That is a phthalo green yellow shade, and a PY74. The second green, which I think is a very beautiful sap greenish color. I really, really like it. Reminds me a lot of the Daniel Smith version. They call it tree green. It's PG36 as well, PY12, and that is one of those pigments I've never seen anywhere else and probably isn't light fast, so I would be careful with this color. It also contains a PR 101 and, to my very surprise, a PW5, and I can only say I don't see any kind of opaqueness in the color, so that really surprised me when I've looked it up on Kimberly Crick's site. because she seems to have the same color in her set as well. So like I said, all the pigments I have are from her site and are from colors from another set made in the same time area. So I'm not 100% sure if all of them are correct, because the next one, that is something I've never seen that pigment like that. The next color is called Hooker's Green Brilliant, and they call it a PG17. It's a chromium oxide green, and it is a very muddy kind of super opaque green, and this color here isn't opaque. It hasn't the muddy green shade. It's a rather dark green. It looks for me more like the PG8 I know from White Nights or from Rosa Gallery, which they use for their Hooker's Green as well, which is a non-light fast pigment, sadly. It's a very beautiful green, but I never seen a PG17 like that, ever. So I'm pretty sure here is some kind of mistake made with the pigment code. The next green is just your basic phthalo green PG7. That is also one of my colors that sparkles. They call it Eternal Green Deep. I know a lot of people hate phthalo green blue shade because it looks so artificial, and I can only ever recommend it as a perfect start of mixing greens when you combine it with colors like PR101 or PBR7, for example. You get these very beautiful olivey, natural looking kind of greens, or also combining it with different kind of oranges. Perfect for mixing because it's a very light fast pigment, and most of greens offered are convenience mixes. So I'm always happy about single pigment greens like phthalo green because it is super transparent, so it is perfect to use it as a mixing green. So the next color is called Mars Yellow. I've got no information about the pigment, but I guess it will be some kind of um, yellow iron oxide colors. It's a super transparent one, and I think it's so beautiful. I totally love this color. Sadly, in Germany, you are it's very hard to get any of the Paul Rubens color as a single color in pans or in tubes. I know some shops offer some of the colors on AliExpress, but not all of the colors are available or shipping to Germany. So a lot of you can't really buy the colors very well on their own. On German Amazon, for example, you always only get pre-made sets made of pans or tubes, not single colors. So I really love this one. I will have to look if I can get it maybe over AliExpress as a single tube, because I would love to have more of this one here. As well as the next color, which is called Pozzoli Red Ochre. It's a PR101, so a synthetic red iron oxide, but it doesn't look like your typical English red. This is rather on the transparent side and rather more on the delicate side. It's not that strong, as I know from those English reds, for example. And those two colors I really like. I will have to look if I can get them on their own. So the next two colors, I love the color because it's one of my most used kind of browns, but they are too similar for me to say it is good that they include both of them. I would have preferred one of them more to be a burnt umberish kind of color. The first one they call umber. It doesn't look like a burnt umber. It doesn't look like a natural umber, so don't know. It looks like a burnt sienna. It's a PBR7 PR101 mixture, so natural brown iron oxide and synthetic red iron oxide mixture. And the next one is a burnt sienna with a PBR7 one. Like I said, both of them are nearly identical. So yeah, would have been great to swatch one of those for a more of a burnt umber kind of brown. The next one is called Burnt Brown. It's a PBR7, and this one is also one of 3 ones I say I would look if I can get it on their own, because this is a super, super dark version of a single pigment PBR7 without any black or anything else. I only know the Cypress PBR7s to be that dark. That is the world's highest quality on PBR7 you can get, because it gets these super dark chocolatey kind of browns, which doesn't look like a burnt umbers. It looks more like a Van Dyke brown or something like that. Super, super beautiful, but sadly, it's one of those colors containing glitter here. I mean, I like glitter, but I don't like glitter in my normal colors. I want to be able to decide if I have to glitter on it or not. So yeah, we'll have to look if I can get this on its own, because that's very special. I only ever seen this dark kind of PBR7 single pigment colors from people who are hand made watercolors on their own and sell them handmade. So the next color here is called Coal Black. It's a PBK7, so it's a carbon-based black. It's a great choice for my personal taste. I hope you can see a little bit, at least a sparkle. I will give you a close-up of all the colors as well, because as you may already know, if you are following me for a while, I hate warm blacks and I love neutral or cool kind of blacks. So the most used choice in pre-made sets are ivory blacks, which are warm blacks, and I don't like them. So I'm always happy when they choose a neutral or a cool kind of black as the black in the set. So that is something for me personally, which is positive. And it makes the choice from the Payne's Gray with the PBK9 even more unnerving for everyone from you which are vegan or vegetarian, because if they would have choose there a different black pigment, the set could have been vegan. As far as I know, Paul Rubens don't use any honey, so the colors should be vegan normally, if they don't contain any animal products like the ivory black. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it was a little bit helpful for you. If you have this set or the pink version, please let me know what are your experience. And what I really, really want to know is, do some of your colors sparkle as well? Or is it just a production mistake in only my set, or was it made widely in those sets? I'm not quite sure. I never go with glitter on my brushes into the pans, so it couldn't be cross-contaminated that way. So this are some production mistake, but I would really love to know if it's only in mine or if it's something they have in all the shell sets. I call them shell sets because of the shells. That's not an official name. Yeah, like I said, it is a beautiful set. It is, in my opinion, a good choice from the color. You have in every color group a few different blues, a few different reds and stuff like that. So I think overall the color choice is good. Like I said, the set is way overpriced for the amount of paint when you compare it to every other normal set from Paul Rubens. So I personally wouldn't recommend buying this set, only if you say the shell set is so beautiful that you must have it. Um, but I really can recommend Paul Rubens watercolors because they have a very great quality, and it is one of a few brands I know which offers artist grade for a very low budget. So everyone who want to work with artist grade watercolors and is on a budget, this is one of those brands where you can buy artist grade watercolors for a much lower price than the traditional big companies like Daniel Smith, Schminke, and other brands like that, Core, and so on. So yeah, do you have Paul Rubens watercolors? And what is your experience with it? I would really love to know. And yeah, hope you have enjoyed this video. Hope it was helpful for you. And I would be super thankful, like every time, for a thumbs up or a follow because it will help me and the channel a lot. And yeah, hope you have a wonderful day and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.